certainly the main record of the Gospels is about the last 3.5 years of Jesus' life. And it was approximately 30 AD. And of course, the temple was destroyed in 40 years later in 70 AD. So a total of about 40 years is covered in the New Testament, whereas there's like 4,000 years covered in the Old Testament, 100 times as much time. The time period covered in the New Testament is 1/100th the length in years as the Old Testament. Now, I might just close by saying many people have misread the Bible so as to get the impression that God in the Old Testament judges people a lot, that God is harsh in the Old Testament, that he's rather pitiless and strict. But in the New Testament, God is nice. Jesus is our friend and so forth. And so a lot of people have actually totally misconstrued it and thought that God's represented differently in the Old Testament than in the New. Like in the Old Testament, he's mean. In the New Testament, he's nice. He's Jesus. And they don't realize that God didn't change. God does the same things in the New Testament that he did in the Old Testament. It's just that there's 100 times as long a history in the Old Testament, which gave God a lot more times to deal with people in a hard way because people gave him more reason to in 4,000 years than in 40.